Hey everybody, this is Josh McKinney, and I just want to welcome you to episode 4 of the all-new Suck Less Saturday. So now we've got a theme song for Suck Less Saturday. The real question is, when am I going to stop calling it the all-new Suck Less Saturday? When am I going to start calling it the third time's the charm Suck Less Saturday? You know, this is something I've tried 3 different times, but 4 episodes in a row is better than we've done most of the other times. So let's get into today's listener mail. I did good last week. I didn't keep you guys for more than 15 minutes. And so we're going to try to do that again today. And I have a really fun question. It should be simple, but let's make it a little more complex. Hey Josh, I have a question, possibly for Suck Less Saturday. How do you learn from watching high-level competition footage? It's a skill I would like to have, but when I try to watch high-level gi competitors, it just looks like many minutes of nothing happening. Where do you start with developing the skill? Just persist until it makes sense, or would I benefit from watching lower levels first? Just in case, I'm a blue belt and a scientist learner, but I think with my current level of understanding, most of my conclusions will be wrong. All right, so a lot to unpack in 15 minutes. First, that is from Alex. Alex, thank you so much for sending in some, I guess, listener mail. Is that what we should call it? I feel like I'm stealing that from some other podcast that I used to listen to. I think I'm stealing that from Stuff You Should Know. I think they called it listener mail. I'm pretty sure. Man, I used to like that podcast. They got really political for being Stuff You Should Know. I don't know. Weird. Hopefully that doesn't happen with the I Suck At JiuJitsu show. Hopefully you're not like, yeah, I used to listen to I Suck At JiuJitsu, but like Josh got like really weirdly racist against white people. And just really couldn't listen to the show very much, right? That would be bizarre. But anyway, let's get back into Alex's question about watching competition footage. So Alex referenced herself as a scientific learner. And so if you guys don't know what that is, my all new free ebook, The 3 Lenses, we look at these 3 lenses, the 3 ways that most people learn jiu-jitsu from. And, most people kind of lean towards one learning style versus the other. And we talk about scientific learners and how much they love to problem solve. And so kind of the question, when you put it in that perspective, that Alex thought to mention, that Alex is a scientific learner. What we'll do is we'll look at, I think, how you should watch tape, or how people will watch tape, depending on which lens they fall into. And we'll just do kind of a quick glossary of things that will be very helpful. And so we'll look at how I think a scientific learner should look at watching tape for jiu-jitsu. And this is completely from me studying with John Thomas and studying under John Thomas, I guess in quotes, at times. And so John was a really, really good tape watcher in jiu-jitsu. I think now there are a lot of them, but then there really weren't. He really was big on not just getting good at jiu-jitsu by feel. He always called it getting good on purpose. And so what he would do is he would try to build the most effective game for his for what he was trying to accomplish. Okay, so for instance, he was at a certain weight class at brown belt, and he would watch all the tape from all the guys that were in his division at brown belt, and he wouldn't usually say, "Oh man, I got to watch for this or I got to watch for that." He would look what worked against them, and he would say, "Man, nobody in my division seems to have a good understanding of passing the spider guard. I need to perfect this guard. Nobody seems to have a good understanding, or it seems like when people do get passed in my division, it's with knee cut." And so he starts with knee cut, right? So now he has 2 ideas. He has 2 places to start with his tape watching. And so how he approached it was he looked at who's the best knee cut guy in the world. And I think we all know who that is going to be, who has the legendary knee cut, and that is Leandro Lo. So John starts watching Leandro Lo, starts seeing when he does his knee cut, starts also even realizing eventually after just watching a ton of Leandro Lo tape, really just looking for that one specific thing. But I think here's something interesting is John was also a fan of Leandro Lo. I think that is really important, is finding people that you enjoy listening to, you enjoy watching, you enjoy seeing them compete, just finding people you like to cheer for. It makes it so much easier. It's no longer watching tape. It's watching the art, right? It's watching what you enjoy. And I noticed that John used to do that. And that's why he always picked Leandro. He really liked Leandro. And then he got to train with Michael Lange, and he got to ask questions with him, but also would study his tape, which is kind of weird for people because they go, well, if you get to ask this guy questions, why study their tape? John was one of the first people that I ever met that realized, hey, we can't always articulate what is happening or articulate even the best way to get somebody to understand a technique or a move. And so that's why he was studying. And so something else he was really big on, this is really where it gets to be scientific learner. He would take notes and he would just write down, ideas. He would write down, when he's knee cutting, he always seems to catch right on top of the hip. And then he would go in to train the next day or that night or right then probably, and he would try to catch the top of the hip. And he would go, does that work? And he would drill it and then positional spar it. And now I'm sure he would designated win it because that is sweeping the nation. But you put that into your training, right? But that is what you're looking for as a scientific learner, in my opinion, when you are watching tape. Now, this is how I like to watch tape. But coming from somebody who leans probably more artist than anything. And first off, I always say, think fun first, right? You will not consistently watch tape unless you have people that you enjoy watching, or at least certain types of jiu-jitsu that you enjoy seeing. And I go in waves of people that I like to watch. Sometimes it's somebody in my division that I think I'm going to have to compete against this guy eventually. And sometimes it's a woman in the lightest weight class of jiu-jitsu. So sometimes it's an ultra heavyweight, right? There are so many different things you can pick up from jiu-jitsu, but some of the things that I think really help when you just watch tape, not looking for a specific movement, you're watching tape just looking to gather whatever you can. And this is my favorite way to do it. As an artist, you watch tape by feel, right? So what I start to do is a tip I got from Sean Williams in the episode that he was in, which is the most listened to episode that there is on the show overall, out of all interviews and all solo episodes. That is our most listened to one. But anyway, he talked about, I think he called it like going head to toe or something like that. But he talked about watching individually what body parts were doing, right? So for instance, a lot of times you see a knee cut and it just looks like a knee cut. But you ask yourself, okay, what is his knee doing that mine doesn't? Because he's obviously having more success. What is his chest doing that mine doesn't? Well, really, Well, two things right there. When I go to knee cut, my right knee doesn't catch the top of the leg like John Thomas just told us it should. And my chest also doesn't move forward. It almost stays in position and I reach with my knee. That's the problem most people have with the knee cut, I think, is that they just don't lead head forward and let their knee follow through. But anyway, you start to watch that from feet to head. You notice little things. Something I noticed, and I talk about this on the show, is like the footwork of Gordon Ryan. You can watch Gordon Ryan with no other intentions. Like, don't even pay attention to what his hands do. Watch what his legs do from pretty much every position. They seem to always be working for him, working with him. And you don't realize it, but most of the time, a lot of the time when you're training, certain body parts are kind of left behind because you're so focused on the specific technique. You're not thinking that, hey, this foot that I have that is totally free, it could go in the hip and it would make this position so much easier, right? If you watch Gordon and watch his feet, you will notice so much. You will notice from the mount, how he controls the hips with his ankles, his feet, his shins, his whatever, but how well he controls the hips. And that is really, I think, the main reason for why his mount is so horrific. You see his footwork, but you also have to be curious when you are watching as an artist. You have to say, he didn't just knee cut there. Don't just look at the what. Sometimes we have to look at the why. We have to say, I don't know. I think that the knee cut worked, but I think that there might have been two other passes that worked, because from this position, I like to do this. What do those passes have in common? They all put me in this position, or they all put me in this distance, or they all have these grips in common. And then from there, I mean, think about just with that information, how much you could do with your jiu-jitsu. So now three of your favorite passes have two grips in common, right? Or two positions in common, maybe a grip and an angle. And so now you can alternate between those three passes so much. You can focus your jiu-jitsu so much on getting good at getting to that grip and getting to your angles, right? When we are curious, we get so many options. And I guess before I finish on artists, I know I'm talking way too much. Before I finish on artists, make sure that you don't leave with too many options. Sometimes if you try to learn this way and then you're taking notes, what happens is you end up with just pages and pages of crazy rambling. But when you watch it and you start noticing that it's footwork, and then you start thinking of it in a certain way, you may even call it something. You may even say, man, every time he steps right there, every time his foot moves right there, the guy can't turn. And you go like, I call that pocket foot position, because his foot is near the pocket, right? Or if the guy was wearing pants, he would have pockets on. But that can be a problem though, because with too many ideas, you can't do much. One of my favorite ways to deal with that is just to watch enough tape that my ideas start to melt into one. So the footwork, I stop asking, okay, where are his feet? And I start saying, why does putting his feet there keep the person? And then I go, well, what if I put my hand there or my knee there? Well, it would work the same, right? But I mold that all into one idea. Just like the tighter you can get it, the simpler you can make it for yourself, the easier it's going to be to actually experiment with. And obviously, anytime you're talking about doing something organically, completely by feel, there is going to be a lot lost in translation, but hopefully it's not too much. Hopefully that makes sense as an artist. But then as an athlete, what do athletes have to offer when it comes to watching tape? Well, I got to hang out with Mark Vives, who I think learns as an artist, but definitely has adapted the athletic routine. And he has a day that he watches tape. One day a week, he chooses to watch tape. And every single week, he says, usually for him, it's because he's competing that weekend. He competes all the time. And the brackets come out on Wednesday. So he watches on Wednesday. And this habit, I mean, if you think about it, even if it's for 5-10 minutes versus somebody who watches an hour once every 3 months, right? 5 or 10 minutes a week, that is so much better because it's way fresher on your mind. And you also you get a much broader perspective than when you just fall into a YouTube rabbit hole, right? Not that there's anything wrong with that. Hopefully people fall into YouTube rabbit holes and find the Suck At JiuJitsu show on the way. But man, is that all I had to say about athletes? That they have, that their biggest thing is going to be routine. And then obviously, as we talk about in the three lenses, simplicity is what they're looking for, right? I think simplicity is what we should all be looking for. I think, like I talk about in the book, that we should be doing all of these things and using them wisely, right? Trying to learn from every lens. And so we're not missing a big piece of jiu-jitsu. And that's all I have for you guys today. It's always weird ending a Suck Less Saturday because it's right when I start getting warmed up that it's time to end it. bizarre. I don't know. Let's look at, make sure that you guys know that if you have any listener mail that you want to send to me, any question that you want me to riff on, I would love to do it for a Suck Less Saturday. All you have to do is send me an email, josh@simplifyingjujitsu.com. I answer questions on so many different things when I do seminars and stuff like that, or I do private lessons. And so the Suck Less Saturday emails have been fun for me because it's not just what's going on in my head. I get to see what's going on in your guys' head. And so even if I don't respond directly to an email or make that email a specific episode, a lot of times these emails people send 3 or 4 on watching tape, but Alex has mentioned the 3 lenses. So of course I'm gonna pick that one, right? But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Make sure if you want to get the 3 lenses that you go to simplifyingjujitsu.com/3. That is the number 3. You can also go to just simplifyingjujitsu.com and go to the store and find it there. But keep in mind, the 3 lenses is totally free, and it is really good jiu-jitsu information. It will really help you learn how you learn jiu-jitsu, at least learn how you learn jiu-jitsu the easiest. But that's all I have for you guys today. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Saturday, and I hope that this episode helps you guys suck just a little bit less at jiu-jitsu. Have a great day, guys.